Most of us probably have some kind of mental picture of what it's like to be very poor in the developing world. Maybe visual images pop up in your mind of the grave challenges confronted by the poor. The child with the distended stomach, maybe shanty houses or dirty food or water. If you spent time in the developing world, you know that it's not hard to see the evidence of abiding problems of hunger or homelessness or illness, poverty's grind. What is harder to see, but is no less a part of the experience of the poor in the developing world, is poverty's terror, the way in which the global poor are daily threatened by violence. In the new book that we released with Oxford Press earlier this year, we call the devastating impact of everyday violence on the poor the locust effect. History is full of horrifying stories of poor farm families who are forced to watch helplessly as a plague of locusts suddenly descends to devour their crops, and in a matter of hours destroys years of effort trying to plan and plant their way out of poverty. Likewise, it seems that we're approaching a pivotal moment in history where if we do not decisively address the plague of everyday violence that swarms over the common poor in the developing world, the poorest will not be able to achieve their dreams, ever. This is the locust effect. But here in North America, you and I are so used to breathing the invisible oxygen of law enforcement that it's hard for us, I think, to even imagine what it's like for billions of poor people around the world who don't have a justice system that protects them.
So if you look at this dichotomy, you've got the magic kingdom on the one hand and the tragic kingdom on the other. The one word that kind of describes the difference is disparity. It's economic disparity, it's a disparity of justice, it's a disparity of opportunity, it's a disparity of expectations. What can you expect? You know, my little 3-year-old grandson has unlimited expectations about what he can become because he was born into a country where you could have expectations like that. And of course, there's also a disparity of outcomes in the tragic kingdom. Now, as Christians, we have to look at this kind of disparity as unacceptable. You know, Jim Wallace this morning and Tony Hall both quoted Matthew 25. I was going to read from Matthew 25. I was hungry and you gave me to eat. I was thirsty and gave you to drink. I won't do that because it's been covered, but that was the vision of Jesus for a different kind of worldview. Not a magic kingdom, not a tragic kingdom, but rather the kingdom of God view of the world. I have a phrase that I use a lot that when it comes to solving the problems of poverty, it is rocket science. And unfortunately, there are many, many churches in America that think it's simple, that think anybody can, we'll send the 8th grade youth group into the middle of the AIDS pandemic and we'll fix it. We'll go for a week and we'll deal with an incredibly complex problem in a very naive and simplistic way. Poverty is rocket science. And it is so much more than just what I call the hardware of software. The hardware of software is if we drill enough wells, if we plant enough crops, if we build enough schools, if we give enough microloans, the kingdom of God will come on earth and the lion will lie down with the lamb. And all of those things are necessary conditions to dealing with the poor, but they're not sufficient because poverty is a complex blend of dealing with culture and rule of law and governance and community values and gender relationships and all of the complicated software issues that hold communities back and prevent people from becoming all that God intended them to be. And